Hi, and welcome back to my channel, whichever one it is. I'm just glad you're here. Today, I'm talking about the difference between having actor thoughts versus having character thoughts. We're just getting right to it. What it means when you're in your head is that first of all, the camera can see everything. So whatever comes across your face, wherever your thoughts happen to go, the camera will see it. So if you are in your head, which I'm about to go over, the camera will see it, and it's important to try not to be there. So when you're in your head, you're self-conscious. When you're in your head, it's kind of like when it's basically anxiety. You're being self-conscious and you're focused on, how do I look? How do I sound? Do I look and sound real enough? Does the camera believe me? Do my fellow actors believe me? Does everyone else believe me? It's like, well, the first question is, do you believe yourself? When you're doing your scene, when you're doing your script, whatever, your lines, when you're doing your scene, or when you're doing an improv, do you believe yourself? That is the number one question you should probably be asking yourself before you ask, does everyone believe me? Do you believe yourself? If you don't believe yourself, if you can't watch it back over or even just feel it in yourself, you're probably in your head. This basically leads to a lot of self-consciousness, which in the final cut, in the cut that they use, you're going to look or sound however the director wants you to look or sound. So if you look or sound bad for that scene, obviously they only ever really use the best take because they want their project to look the best that it can look. So obviously they're only going to use their best take of you. But that means that you need to be, as the kids say today, locked in. What does being locked in mean? You're not thinking about how you look. You're not thinking about how you sound. Your entire performance is invested in your character. Your actor thoughts should be out of your head. The part of the prep is getting to the character thoughts, because then you're not focused on, am I putting enough emotional emphasis on this specific word? It's like you're overthinking how to make it sound artistic without actually just letting the performance live in your body. So this makes you emotionally disconnected. If you're emotionally disconnected, if it looks like you're trying to force the emotions, the camera's not going to believe you. I mean, maybe. If you're good at that, maybe. But not, especially not beginner actors. I mean, such as myself, I'm pretty new. I can't try to rely on a bluff. It's basically a bluff. I can't try to rely on a bluff. I have to really be in it. Because if you're not really in it, the camera will see that. The final cut will see that. There are performances that you can watch and you'll see, like, yeah, that person really wasn't very connected. One actor whose YouTube account I feel very, very accurately points this out is, if you watch Tristan Spone, he has quite a few videos. My channel is my videos are a little bit inspired by his channel. So if you watch his channel, it's kind of essentially, I'm not basing my channel off of it, but it's, my own version of what I've learned since I started training as a professional actor. So when you're emotionally disconnected, it will show. Let's say if you're trying to force tears, you never want to try to force tears. If you're trying to feel a certain way, it's going to show. You can't try to force the emotions. It'll look performative. If you don't believe your own performance, then we won't believe you. That also means that your energy is going to be very divided. So you may not think it is, but we will see it. We'll see that you're thinking about, how am I saying this? Am I saying this line the right way? Am I maybe taking a sigh in the right spot? Am I overthinking the script? You don't want to overthink the script. You want to read it, process it, download it, basically. And you want to bring it to life the best way that feels natural to you, but without making it flat. You don't want to divide your energy. You want your energy to be fully invested in the script, in your character's perspective. Because if you don't, your lines will sound like you were just reading them off a page, which that happens all the time. If you watch a beginner actor versus obviously like a more professional or Oscar winner, the lines will sound a bit more read off the page. And that's normal. That's part of being a beginner. But to get past that, you really got to try to understand the character better. That's actually why one of my videos is all about wall frame, is because when you're learning, when you're when you're looking at your script and you're trying to analyze your character, you need to find out what their want is, what the obstacles are, how they're feeling, and so on. You need to know what all is in the way because you need to put yourself in their shoes. Acting is very empathizing with your character. If you can't empathize with your character, no matter how bad of a person they are, if you can't get into their head, then you won't have a believable performance. You'll look like you're wearing the character essentially, rather than becoming the character. You don't want to wear the character, you want to actually be them. It's kind of like if, just doing an impression. If you're doing an impression of something, you're just kind of putting it on temporarily. But if you are actually becoming the character, then it's just you. It's entirely just you. And that's extremely important. You'll know the difference between being in your head and having actor thoughts versus having character thoughts when you forget you're watching your performance. You'll forget how you possibly look. Let's say if you're angry in the scene and you have spit flying, you may not be entirely aware, or maybe you'll be aware of it, but you won't think about it. It has to feel that real. You have to really feel like you're in it. Your fourth wall needs to be as strong as possible. You almost need to forget that you have an audience or you have a camera there. Aside from making sure that you are blocking correctly and that you're in the frame, you almost need to forget that you're on camera. Now, one of the best ways probably to figure out your character and take your performance from actor thoughts to character thoughts is by investigating your character. You're going to want to know exactly where your character is at and where they're trying to be and what all is stopping them, how they feel about everything. You're going to want to know everything about them so you can try to put yourself in their shoes. It's very put yourself in their shoes and try to live in their shoes. This is actually what my coach says every single week. So you're just living in it. See, one of the first things he says when we start the class, before we start the encounters, he says, get ready to be looked at. This is really happening. If we're doing just the repetition exercise for Meisner, that other person is, let's say you're in a stranded in a boat. It's like the life of Pi. You're stranded in a boat. The only other person on stage is the only other person in the world that you have with you. And in order to keep that boat floating, you have to work off of each other. You're working together. It's a team effort. So you can't just be focused on yourself. You have to be focused on the other person. The self-consciousness part also means you're not focused on how you're reacting. You're not focused on how you're looking when you're just doing a repetition with Meisner. It means you're paying attention to how the other person is responding to you, and you're responding to them based off of how your body is reacting. You're not thinking about it. You're not putting social filters on. That's one big thing. When we're socializing, people always, we have a filter. We have to have a filter just to live our lives as regular good people. But when it comes to at least a repetition exercise with Meisner, when you're acting, when you're doing a repetition, when you're just warming up your body, you can't filter yourself. The more you filter yourself, the more you hinder yourself. It's like if you're stretching before a run and you feel the stretch in your legs, but you stop because you feel the stretch because it's uncomfy. That's where you have to go in deeper. My coach always talks about the void. When you're staring into the void, what do? A lot of people will panic, they'll freak out, and then they'll try to do one of their, it's like when you're in an awkward situation and people try to find a way out of it. But with this, you have to try to live with it. You have to let it just sit there on you. You have to really just sit there with it and acknowledge it and let it do its thing. Because unlike a social situation where that's probably not the best thing to do, that is the best thing to do when you're exercising your acting muscle, is you're letting yourself feel things that may not necessarily be fun to feel, and you're letting yourself respond to it without a filter. The more you respond without a filter, the more your body gets accustomed to, okay, this is how we're doing. We're whatever the day was just now, we're taking that off. We're taking off all judgment. You don't want to judge yourself, and you just do it. If you want to cry, you just cry. This is all in terms of I'm mostly speaking on Meisner with repetition, but when it comes to this, it helps open you up to go from actor thoughts to character thoughts, because when you're in your actor thoughts, you're in your pedestrian head and you're thinking about, you don't want to get canceled, you don't want to look bad. It's about, actor thoughts are, do I look good? Character thoughts are focused on the script or focused on the character, rather than the actor thoughts are focused on how you look, focused on the performance. Character thoughts are focused on the character, focused on what the character wants, focused on how the character is going to get it, focused on what the character might do if they don't get it. How do they feel? How are they going to react if they don't get what they want? They're not thinking about, how do I look if I don't get what I want? How do I sound if I don't get what I want? Maybe, the character might have to sound a certain way to get what they want, but you figure that out with the script. You figure out from the character's perspective how you get what you want, not how do you need to sound to make it sound like you're trying to get what your character wants. For an example, like when I was newer to acting, something I really like about Meisner was that with the studio I go to for training, something I really liked was that we didn't touch an actual script until later. We didn't touch any actual script until a little bit into the foundations, because the whole time you're not trying to build up a character. You're just trying to build up yourself first. You're trying to like deconstruct the part of the like pedestrian part of yourself. You're trying to open up a new side of yourself, which will allow you to act more freely, perform without actually performing. Because that's the key, is you are performing, but you want to get to the point where you're not really performing and that's your performance. It's kind of weird. Part of it really is the act of actually doing things. So if you're pretending to do something, if you're pretending to eat, sometimes on camera that's necessary. They'll put fake food and you just pretend to eat. But if the food in that scene really is important for the scene, if there is a specific, like, if it's pointed out and you want it to look more real, you want to actually be doing the activity in the scene that your character is doing. So a lot of it will be like foundations will include activity work. So you're actually trying to do the thing while you have someone else in the scene with you trying to distract you from doing the thing. So you're actually doing it, and that's how you're training. It's weird. You're training these other muscles. It can get really frustrating, but that's kind of fun about it, is that like you get really frustrated, but you're still doing the thing and you're getting yourself used to what that might be like. Another wonderful thing that I really like about Meisner that helps me to, well, it helps the actors to get out of the actor thoughts and into the character thoughts, is I've mentioned the repetition before. It is the repetition that is the utmost foundation of the technique. Is don't think about your response, just say the word that's being repeated and respond it back. And it's not about what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. So all this compounded together, if you just focus on what you're supposed to be doing and you don't think so much about what you have to say, it makes your performance a lot more real. Because the moment you open, if you're trying to fake something, it's obvious. And the moment you open your mouth to say something when you're already faking, you're done. That's it. You're done. But if you're really in something and your body's there and you already know what you have to say, so you don't have to think that much about it, you just kind of have to let it out with the built up, the physical. When you feel a certain way, you'll feel it in your body. When you feel something emotionally, you'll start to feel it physically. So you do enough prep that you feel it physically, and because you know the script, you know your lines, you know what you're supposed to say, you just say the dialogue. But because you're in it, your body just creates the life of the lines. It creates the life of the character in the lines. And then you don't have to think about, do I sound artistic enough? Do I sound moody enough? You don't have to think about how it looks, because that's not the point. You're not supposed to think about how it looks. You're not supposed to worry about how you look or sound. That's not the point. You're living in it. You if you want to think about anything, you're thinking as the character, how do I sound to, like, as the character, how do I sound or how do I look to get the point across that I want to get across the point that I want. Now, if this doesn't entirely make sense, let's say you're a newer actor and you find this video and you're trying to figure out what I mean, try something. So pull up a scene, just find a scene online that you've never seen before, preferably that you've never seen before. Read through it, maybe a monologue or something, whatever. Preferably, I prefer scenes where there are more than one person because then there's a bit of listening involved, and that's actually really important. But try to find something where you're not familiar with it at all. You've never seen it before. You've never seen a professional actor perform this. And read through it first. Try to memorize it as much as possible, and then record yourself doing it after just reading it and trying to feel it out. And then use the WAFRAME method. Go back, analyze it, break it down, try to, like, actually get, like, a notebook or a sheet of paper or something and write everything down. What do they want? What's the obstacle? What are the feelings? What are the relationships? What are the as ifs? What is the I'm going over WAFRAME again. It's very helpful. WAFRAME is very helpful. So go through WAFRAME with that script very thoroughly, as specific as possible, and then try again. If you go through WAFRAME and you try it again, you're gonna notice, you're gonna watch your first film, your first tape, and then you're gonna watch your second tape over. You're gonna see the difference. One is gonna be the actor thoughts of, I think this sounds good, I think this feels good, this sounds right, blah blah blah. It's very self-conscious, it's very in your head, and you'll see. And then the one where you do the WAFRAME breakdown is going to be very character driven. It's going to be, you're not focused on how you look or sound, you're not focused on how you come across. You are focused on thinking as the character. And the more you focus on thinking as the character, the more you believe yourself, the more the camera will believe you, the more the audience will believe you. I hope this helps. And if you've watched this video all the way through and you've watched my other videos, whatever the case, hi Ron, I'm kidding. If you like this video, then I hope you would leave a thumbs up. If you want to see more, which I'm trying to do, subscribe. If you have anything you'd like me to cover, if you have any questions, whatever, there's a comment section down below, of course. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.